Morning, everyone. The March 4th, 2020 meeting of the City Council is called to order. This meeting has been properly noticed and posted in compliance with the open meeting law. These proceedings are being video recorded as well as presented live on KCLV, Cable Channel 2, or closed caption for hearing impaired viewers. Please note, customers CenturyLink Cox Communication may view this program in high definition on Channel 1002 and in standard definition on Channel 2. You may also watch this meeting as well on all other KCLV programming. Sorry, missed a whole line. Having done this a few times before, shame on me. Live on Apple TV, Roku, Amazon Fire TV, and on the Go Vegas app. The council meeting, as well as all other KCLV programming, may be viewed on the internet at www.kclv.tv/live. The proceedings will be rebroadcast on KCLV Channel 2 and the web the Wednesday of the meeting at 8 p.m., Friday 4 a.m., Saturday 7 p.m., Sunday 7 a.m., and the following Monday at 5 p.m. This building is protected by state-of-the-art fire detection and suppression sprinkler systems. If alarms should activate during today's meeting, please evacuate using the exit at the back of the chambers going out to the mezzanine. Proceed out the double doors to the terrace going down the back staircase. For anyone who has difficulty with stairs, please check with a marshal or fire official for assistance. Once outside, please assemble on the northeast corner across the street from City Hall at Lewis and First Streets. Employees wearing safety vests or city marshals will inform you when it's safe to re-enter the building. For public comment related to items on the agenda, citizen participation, and public hearing items, we have available a speaker card which you may complete and submit to the city clerk. Cards are available in the clerk's office at the rear of these chambers. If you do not submit a card, it does not prevent you from speaking under public comment, citizen participation, or specified public hearing items. If anyone's present today who has need for hearing impaired equipment, also please come to our city clerk staff. Please note, if you park in the parking garage across the street, a self-validation machine is located in the foyer between council chambers and the security desk you walk through to enter the chambers. You must have your ticket with you to use the machine, but if you don't, you may see security personnel when exiting for a validation coupon. Before we proceed with the agenda, would everyone please rise for the invocation given this morning by Reverend Carol Simpson, Shinkinta Glory Ministries, and remain standing for the pledge. Good morning, and thank you for joining us.
Good morning, Mayor. Hello, everyone. Thank you, Mayor and City Council, for this opportunity. Please bow your heads as I pray. Dear wise and loving Father, thank you on behalf of all who have gathered here today. Thank you for your many and abundant blessings. Thank you for life itself, health. Thank you for the ability to be involved in useful work and for the honor of bearing appropriate responsibilities. Thank you for the freedom to embrace you, and thank you for loving us. In the scriptures, you have said that citizens ought to obey the governing authorities, since you have established those very authorities to promote peace and order and justice. Therefore, I pray for our mayor, for the various levels of city officials, and in particular for this assembled council here today. I am asking that you would graciously grant them wisdom to govern amid the conflicting interests and issues of our times, a sense of welfare and true needs of our people, a keen thirst for justice and rightness, confidence in what is good and fitting, the ability to work together in harmony even when there is honest disagreement, personal peace in their lives, and joy in their task. I pray for the agenda set before them today. Please give an assurance of what would please you and what would benefit those who live and work in and around our beloved city of Las Vegas. In your most blessed name, I pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Reverend. Well, Pledge of Allegiance, please. And now we'll be joining you for our ceremony. You are the lone ranger. Where's the baby girl? She's two. Okay. I'm escorting you this time.
Just keep doing what you're doing, let him do what he's doing, and you'll be good.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I know, I just want to make sure it's clean.
Oh, my glasses, I can't see.
Good morning, morning. Red and black, we are. Red and,
yes,
red, white,
red and
and
black.
blue.
Red, white.
Look at that little one. Cutie pie. Hi. Bookends.
Yeah, bookend.
Could you please move to the far end?
Yes, I will.
And Councilman, could you come a little closer? No, I mean, it really is amazing. Come closer. You know, I'm kidding you. Come on.
Okay.
Get back.
Okay. Okay. Visually, now we have to be a visually perfect. You are always out there. Come in closer. Thank you. All right, the reason I can play around this morning is we have only one item. Last time we were almost 2 hours with our ceremonials. You may not take that time, but for our first and only ceremonial item today, Councilman Knutson from Ward 1 has the great privilege of making that happen.
Thank you very much, Mayor, and I'm the only one, so at least an hour of speaking, right? At least an hour. I'm kidding. So I get the distinct honor and privilege today of recognizing the Pediatric Intensive Care Unit at UMC Children's Hospital. It is incredibly personable for me, so I'm gonna work my very best to get through a speech that I didn't really write out because I didn't know how to talk about how important this is to me. So important that my son Andrew, who's sitting right there on the third row, is there. He misses school, so he could be here for this, because this is so important to me. So I'm going to talk about some facts real quick. I'm going to talk about some personal experiences, and then I'm going to talk about the future, and then I'm going to turn it over to you. So as I'm talking, Dr. Vora, if you want to assemble your team to come on up here, that we can be efficient with our time. And this is very hard, so I'm going to work really hard at this. So University Medical Center Children's Hospital officially formed in 2010. It's only 10 years old. Pediatric intensive care unit started with only one physician and 6 pediatric beds. Come on up. There are 27,691 emergency department visits a year, 4,431 annual admissions, 37 NICU beds, 31 PEDS beds, and 14 PICU beds. This is Nevada's only designated pediatric trauma center, Nevada's only verified pediatric burn center, Nevada only center for transplantation, Nevada's only pediatric robotic surgery program, Nevada's only hospital to receive recognition as an associate member of the Children's Hospital Association. There are 512 burn and wound care patients. There are 732 pediatric sedations, of which my son was 5 of those. And there's 462 annual transfers into UMC a year, and my son was one of those. So I'm going to talk for a minute about Andrew, because it's the reason I'm here today. It's the reason that I'm standing right here in front of this council chambers. So there was another hospital in town that Andrew was at, and there weren't physicians on overnight. And there was one in particular night where it was very traumatic, and I needed a little bit of help, and I called the mayor right here, who said, "You can trust Dr. Vora." And I called Dr. Vora and I said, "I need help because I don't know how to help my son." And we got in an ambulance, which was super fun for Andrew, not so much fun for me, but Andrew loved it. And we got in an ambulance and we came to UMC Hospital. We were greeted by some amazing staff and Dr. Vora. And I was a complete train wreck. I was crying. And as Dr. Vora can do, she said, "Stop crying. Why are you crying? You need to go lay down, go sleep for a couple of hours." And I went to this tiny little room and I laid down for a couple of hours. And it gave me the strength I needed to make it through what would become the next 27 days of our existence. Only Dr. Vora can say, "Stop crying." And it was, for someone who's very cold, it was the right thing to say at the right time. We were in that hospital for 27 days, and that was our support structure. The physicians were there answering questions, and there was one point where I was saying, I'm so anxious and concerned about what's going to happen in the future of Andrew. He's going to make it through this, but what happens to his behaviors, his actions, his thought about himself? How does that affect spending so much time in a hospital? And the doctor said, don't worry about Andrew, he'll be fine. You guys are going to be messes and problems the rest of your lives, which is absolutely true. It's amazing what having a child in the hospital will do for your emotions. I want to read, when we got out of the hospital 27 days later, I was trying to figure out a way to put closure on that particular segment of our life. Andrew was hospitalized 4 additional times in the PICU, and it has been a hard couple of years, but that particular time when we got out of the first time after 27 days in the hospital, I wanted to recognize and acknowledge a couple of the nurses that, all the nurses were great, all the physicians were great, the respiratory therapists, the pharmacists, everyone was wonderful, but there was a couple of people that I wanted to recognize because they made this stay just a little bit better. So I want to read through what I wrote down 2 years ago, right after, the day after we got out of the hospital. I wanted to put a closure on that particular time in my life. So here's what I wrote 2 years ago. My son, Andrew Egan Knudsen, was admitted to the UMC PICU and remained in the PICU for over 3 weeks, preceded by nearly a week in another hospital. After 30 days in intensive care, our family became very familiar with the values and work habits we found most helpful in his recovery. Troy, I don't know if he's here. Troy, he's the night shift, was the nurse during multiple nights in the hospital. Troy came in every night and began his shift by asking us what we wanted for our son that night. Troy went over the doctor's orders and what he wanted to accomplish with our son's recovery, but helped us feel like we were in charge. In a time and environment where a parent can feel utterly hopeless, there was nothing more reassuring than having someone ask us about our plan for his recovery. One night was incredibly difficult. It was a rough day. Dr. Vora was there that day. There was a procedure that was incredibly intense. Multiple procedures that day, and we were doing a dressing change on a chest tube because it wasn't secured properly, and we had to call for a physician, and it was a really traumatic time. And while the physicians were adding an additional suture and I was comforting Andrew, Troy was scratching Andrew's back and his legs, and he was holding him down. For 30 days in the hospital, Troy kept taking these extra steps to make us feel like we were part of that team, like he was part of our family unit, because that was our support structure at that time. Because if you don't have a sick child, you don't understand what it's like to sit in the hospital for that long with a child who's sick. Since coming out of the hospital and talking about it so publicly, I can't tell you the number of times people will come up to me and talk to me about their child being in the hospital and their experience being in the hospital and how traumatic it is as a parent to be there watching your child suffer. But with all of the nurses, Troy in particular, simple things like scratching a back and tickling a leg. There was one night where the first time Andrew laughed out on day 25 was when they told him he had smelly feet, and that really did it. Smelly feet does a lot. It still does at 4 years old. You can do a lot with smelly feet. The second note I wrote, it was about Michelle. Michelle was the day shift nurse, and we looked forward to the days when Michelle was our nurse. She recognized us as real people, spent time getting to know us. We were mentally and emotionally drained after about day 2, and we found that being in the hospital for 24 hours a day to be a lonely and isolating experience. Michelle helped us feel connected to our new support system. Michelle was exceptional. When it was my husband, Brian, when it was his birthday, 3 birthdays we spent in hospitals over the last 4 years, Michelle brought him a cake. When I told Michelle I was on a diet and eating broccoli, she brought me cookies and told me I shouldn't eat broccoli when I'm in the hospital. This totally makes sense. 2 years later, I still can't fit into my pants, so it's her fault. This was our support system for a month and for 3 additional hospitalizations. Dr. Dugan was there, where he is now. Dr. Dugan was there. All the doctors were great, but Dr. Dugan could talk to me in a way that I kind of understood. I imagine everybody has that one person who could connect with them. So Dr. Dugan was out when I was asking questions, and I asked a lot of questions. I wasn't the easiest person to be around. He was very, very warm and receptive and told me what I needed to hear, and that was incredibly helpful. Kate, who's not here because she's 2, and I've mentioned to the other council members, on the weekends we come in here and she eats the microphones, which at some point the city should bill me for that because it's not appropriate. But Kate is not here because she would eat the microphones. Kate was 10 weeks premature, and she was born at another hospital. One of the interesting things is the physicians in that hospital, in the NICU, don't live in Nevada. They fly in for 4-day shifts. We didn't have an amazing experience with her care in another hospital because the physicians weren't here, and they weren't connected to us, and they weren't connected to our family. We were there for 8 weeks. I've spent an enormous amount of time in children's hospitals in Southern Nevada, and I grew up in a children's hospital. My brother had cancer throughout my entire childhood. I'm very familiar with what it's like to be in a children's hospital. As a city, county, and state, and a community, we need to imagine a world where no one goes out of state for care. We did end up going out of state for Andrew's final procedure because once you get out of the NICU, when you don't have that nurturing, warm environment, you have to go out of state to find an integrated healthcare system where there are physicians and doctors' offices connected to a hospital that can work together towards access and quality care for your child. I am incredibly proud of this city council and this city for declaring healthcare as a priority for the city. If you've been sick yourself, you can manage through it. If you have a child who's sick, it's almost impossible to manage through it. The emotions are so intense, and the feeling of isolation is so desperate. And the people in our community who have had that experience know exactly what I'm talking about because they pick me out of a room and they come and say, I know what you went through. Every decision I've made, including running for city council and being on the city council, is colored and shaped by my experience within the PICU, the Pediatric Intensive Care Unit at UMC Children's Hospital. Everything that I'm doing, every speech that I go to, every decision I make on this city council has everything to do with every minute that I spent, 27 days the first time, and 3 additional hospitalizations in UMC. It shapes everything that I do. And I think everybody should know that about me because every word that I speak, every hour of my day, I'm thinking about Andrew and Kate. It is how I view myself in this world. I cannot imagine a world without my children, and I can't imagine a Southern Nevada without UMC Children's Hospital Pediatric Intensive Care Unit. So with that, because of the PICU, and because I got to run for city council, and because I get to stand here, and I can hold the microphone for as long as I want because no one will ever stop me. Well, the mayor might, but I trust the mayor. The mayor told me to trust Dr. Vora. The world is a better place because of that, because my children are here. And so I get to issue a proclamation that says, the Pediatric Intensive Care Unit at University Medical Center Children's Hospital is the premier pediatric ICU in Nevada, and part of Nevada's only accredited Level 2 pediatric trauma center. The PICU is devoted to making the sickest and most severely injured children healthy and well through compassionate family-centered care using the most leading-edge technology. They are advocates for the highest quality of care delivered at a cost-effective manner through primary and specialty care services to meet the needs of our children. And the PICU has a team of highly skilled and dedicated doctors, nurses, respiratory therapists, child life specialists, unit clerks, and environmental service workers who are specially trained in pediatric care. The PICU supports excellent outcomes with an outstanding and compassionate group of physicians using evidence-based practices and advanced treatments. And now, we, the mayor and members of the Las Vegas City Council, do hereby proclaim the Pediatric Intensive Care Unit at University Medical Center Children's Hospital Citizen of the Month on this day, March 4th, 2020 in Las Vegas, and call upon our community to observe this month with compelling programs and events that support this year's observance. This is the Citizen of the Month for the City of Las Vegas. We're gonna do a picture. We have a short video to play, and then I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Vora to talk about how amazing and wonderful she is. By the way, maybe she does know this or doesn't, but in the middle of the night, everyone will talk about each other, right? Because this is our support structure. For 27 days, we got to know everybody pretty well. So all the nurses are terrified of Dr. Vora, terrified of her. And that makes me feel so much closer to her because most people are terrified of me, too. We make the world a better place. A little bit of fear goes a long way. So we're going to watch a video real quick, and then we'll turn it over to Dr. Vora.
Welcome, I'm Dr. Meena Vora. I'm the Medical Director of the Pediatric Intensive Care Unit at Children's Hospital at UMC.
Hi Charlie, how are you today?
Hi, I'm good.
Did you have a good night?
Well, we have very dedicated nurses, doctors, and other staff members. They've all been working here for a long time. They're very passionate about their work. We take care of very, very sick children.
We see multiple types of patients, anywhere from anything with endocrine issues, typically your diabetics that are in ketoacidosis, all the way to traumas and burn patients.
We run the gamut. I mean, we've seen, routine illness that can make our babies really sick, from RSV to the very rare illnesses that may be a brain infection that you just don't see very often. We've seen it all. DKA, chronic illness, we see everything.
We do have good outcomes, and that's what keeps me coming back day after day, is knowing that the care that we provide, the care that I can personally provide and that the staff provides and that we do as an entire team allows that to happen on a daily basis.
Do you want to high five me? Yes.
Our caregivers really care. They are committed. They spend extra time away from their families to make sure that these kids are getting the care that they deserve. Always.
Is spending all night with a patient and then coming back, and helping take care of the patient, and then the patient comes back, say maybe a month later, whatever, just to visit, and then it's all worth it. All the time that you spend taking care of them, it just comes back, and you just feel good about it. It's like you had something to do with the child's well-being.
To see someone who comes in just deathly ill, and then to watch them walk out of the unit, it's life-changing.
And Dr. Vora.
Oh my God. So Councilman Knudsen, Mayor Goodman, and the council, thank you very much for this award. I am honored to accept it on behalf of the team standing behind here and the others who couldn't be here because they're currently working. This pediatric ICU started almost 29 years ago with about 6 beds in the old part of UMC and 1 physician. And we have grown and grown so that now we have 7 physicians who stay in-house 24 hours a day, an excellent group, a large cadre of nurses who are very qualified, specially trained in critical care, pharmacists, EVS, lab technicians, X-ray techs who all know how to make sure that they have the minimal radiation to children when they do X-rays. And we have continued to grow. We provide excellent care, but you have to remember it is still a team. ICU is not a one-person job. Anytime you will often see a couple of doctors, 3 or 4 nurses, a lab tech, all surrounding a 2-year-old on a bed, desperately trying to save their child's life. So this is a team effort. We are all work together, and no, they're not that scared of me, in spite of all Councilman Knudsen's been saying, no. But you know what? We all work together, we care for each other, respect each other, and provide a lot of good care. I'm very proud to be part of this team. We have grown a lot, and I hope we'll continue to grow so that parents like Councilman Knudsen do not have to seek care outside this city. We want to be able to provide that care here, right here. So we're working towards it. I'm hoping that one day before I quit working, we will have no family, no child will ever have to leave Las Vegas and Nevada to seek medical care outside the state. That is my goal before I quit. So if you guys are so scared of me, you better give me the hospital pretty soon. That's the only time I'm going to quit working. But I am really honored to accept this award on behalf of all the people here and the people who couldn't, and all the staff members who couldn't join us on this occasion. So thank you very much.
Am I allowed to talk? I mean, he's a one-man go. I have known Dr. Vora for at least 25 years or beyond that. And so, Councilman, and here comes wonderful Andrew. Can you hold the proclamation or put it back? Because we don't want him to drop this wonderful child. But Dr. Vora has been a very determined, strong, brilliant physician, and one I do know. They are scared of you, and I love it. So the truth is, no. They know the gentleness of your heart. I know your heart, and I know everything that is so deep inside you about caring for people, all people, but in particular, those little ones, those children. And for anyone who's ever been in a hospital, and keep in mind, UMC is a public hospital. So while Councilman Knutson said he spent 27 days in the hospital, it was not with the comfort all night long of lying in a bed. It was sitting in a chair, 27 days of sitting in a chair, which is amazing because you think of this hospital, which is phenomenal, and the only level 1 trauma unit in the state, if not in nearby states as well. But when you think of that, and that this man with his child, or he and his husband with Andrew, because Kate wasn't born yet, to be able to give him the strength and to be comfortable yourself, sitting up all night long for 27 days and really not having the accoutrements, the amenities that other hospitals have. I know a lot needs to be done, but without question, the most important thing to all of us are our children, and no different for Dr. Vora. She has wonderful children, and I know them well. But what a role model, and she is someone who has the talent, the understanding, the education, and the persistence never let go until this is done. After safety, healthcare is the most critical piece of anyone's life. And so we join with you, Councilman Knutson. I'm so proud of you taking this mantle up and making sure that we are delivering the highest level of healthcare to every human being who calls Las Vegas home. And so I can't tell you how much I know, because I know this wonderful council, our admiration, our gratitude to you, and to all of you who every single day affect another child who could be yours, and you probably hold them so close to your hearts. And I know as you touch them and you feel them and you make them feel better, and their parents, thank you. You're the best. This is an honor for us, and I'm so delighted. It's our only council ceremonial today. And you are the luckiest guy in the world. Andrew, that's you. So you're on television. Andrew, can we turn Andrew so we get a picture too? Wave up there on that button on the wall. There you go. So let's have a picture. Should we move this away since it's our only and we could get together? Okay. And come on, Brian Egan. And, oh, you're helping. Wonderful. Any jobs you need done at the house? Wonderful. Okay, so we, everybody, can we get as close as you can get, please? Let me put this down. Back to you.
Yes, ma'am. Well, thank you, Councilwoman. Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. How are you?
Okay. Wow. Okay, we're starting off with agenda item 6. Oh, thank you. Public comment during this portion of the agenda must be limited to matters on the agenda for action. The amount of time any single speaker is allowed may be limited. All comments made will be cross-referenced to those specific items. If anyone submitted a speaker card who wishes to speak under this portion of the agenda, please come to the podium. State your name for the record. It's your opportunity to address the council, but the council is not able to respond or engage in dialogue. We'll set the time at 1 minute. We'll move on to 7, business items. For possible action and any items from the 9 a.m. session that the council staff and/or applicant wish to be stricken, tabled, withdrawn, or held in advance to a future meeting may be brought forward and acted upon at this time. Mayor Pro Tem, will you do your great job, please?
Madam Mayor, the following items have been requested to be held in abeyance, withdrawn, tabled, or stricken. Item number 42, closed session to receive information from the city attorney about potential and existing litigation. Strike is requested by staff, and that will be my motion.
There's a motion, please vote, and please post. And please post. That motion carries. Thank you very much. Moving on to agenda item 8. Items 8 through 36 on the consent agenda are considered to be routine or recommended for approval by the departments, may be enacted in one motion. Note that the record should reflect my abstention on items number 14 and 15 as they pertain to marijuana-related businesses. One of my sons involved in the industry. I'll be voting on all other items. Are there any other items the council wishes to bring forward? Mayor Pro Tem?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I move to approve consent items 8 through 36 with the exception of item number 9. We're going to bring that forward and discuss it.
Okay, thank you very much. There's a motion. Please vote, and please post. Motion carries. Thank you very much. We'll move on now to agenda item 9. Abeyance item for possible action to approve award of contract number 200164-JL. Professional services contract for homeless courtyard operated located at the Courtyard Homeless Resource Center, 1401 Las Vegas Boulevard North. Office of Community Services award recommended to CPLC Nevada, Inc., not to exceed $2,851,524 annually. This is from the general fund, and it's in Ward 5, Councilman Creer. And so since, who's pulled this forward? You? You did, so let me go there before I turn this over to Councilman Creer.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you, Ms. Kathy Gibson. I just have some questions on the contract. On this particular contract that we're looking at today, we did not put it out for an RFP, and it's a professional service. Correct. And I think that that's something that I would like to see going forth. Also, are we able to review this professional service quarterly to see what they're doing? Yes, we are.
Yes, Kathy Thomas Gibson, Director for the Office of Community Services. Yes, Mayor Pro Tem, through the mayor, this actually has a requirement for monthly reporting, and so each and every month, staff will be looking at the aspects of the contract that have monitoring requirements, and we will also consistently be on site through the transition period so that we can see firsthand what's going on.
And with this contract, because we're looking at replacing like 50 employees and having that up to par, and this contract should reflect that. So how are we assured that at this point, almost a $3 million contract, that we will be staffed enough And how is and do we have an org chart of this company?
Yes, Mayor Pro Tem, we do have an org chart. We also have a list of all the positions. The ones that are, have staff transitioning from the temporary agency over to the provider are already identified. The positions that are yet to be filled are identified on the labor chart, but they, of course, have not filled those positions pending your approval.
Okay, and then what if, I want to just make sure our contractual obligation, what if after a month or two, I mean, I wish them well, and I hope they succeed, and I hope they're partners with us for the rest of our city life. However, if they don't, how do we fire them?
So the contract as written has 2 clauses. One allows us to terminate the relationship for cause. So if we find they're not compliant, if we find they aren't meeting the requirements within their scope of work, we find malfeasance, any cause. We also have a clause within that contract that allows us to terminate for convenience, meaning we don't have to identify a specific clause or a reason for terminating the relationship. We can terminate for convenience.
Okay, and does that cost the city money?
It does not matter, Mayor. We are only required to pay for services rendered within a month. So the termination is a 30-day written notice from us to that provider, and in that 30-day period, they are expected to continue to provide services. We would pay them for that 30-day period where we gave the notice, and at the end of that period, we would resume control of the site.
How long do you think it would be to take to staff up to our 50 that we're going for?
I think they can do it relatively quickly. They are transitioning about 35 staff persons who are currently operating under the temporary agency part-time. They will transition over to become full-time employees, and that will leave a relatively small number of positions for them to fill. They have geared up to begin doing interviews and post available positions, so I think they can do it in less than 30 days.
And then once our courtyard is actually up and finished, do we have the option to put an RFP out and actually do it the general way we do it?
At any time, again, because we can terminate for convenience, if at the direction of council, we can actually do that. The initial contract period states that it is a 5-year contract, but because there's also a clause related to convenience, we will take direction from you, and if that is the direction at that time, we will work with that vendor so that they are aware of that and that the transition is smooth. If they opt to apply, they can be a part of that process as well.
Thank you, Mrs. Gibson, and that color is perfect on you.
Thank you.
Any other comments, questions before I turn this over to Councilman Creer? I just would like to add that I think this is an important step, and from everything that I have spoken with staff on and our city manager, I know because we lost our last contract in this. This is a process. We're doing something that's innovative and different from any, and Las Vegas, of course, is that as well. So I'm enthusiastic to move forward on it. I think you've built in all the stopgaps we need to consider at this time, and since there's fluid interchange, I think that's very positive for us. So, Councilman Creer.
Thank you.
Your comments and direction, please.
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. First, I want to thank Mayor Pro Tem for her comments and her inquiry into this. One, as a small business owner myself and someone that has fought since 2006 on understanding professional services and how they're given out, and fighting for a space in that lane in many governmental organizations from state, city, county, et cetera. Probably maybe nobody, I know Michelle, Mayor Pro Tem has a small business as well, and you know, it's tough. It's hard to try to get in, and many agencies say that they want to work with small local businesses, and oftentimes that's not the case. But then over the course of years, I've seen that sometimes there's specialized businesses that you have to go directly to in order to provide the services that the entity needs, in this case, the courtyard. From my meetings and conversations with our team, you know, we've seen that this organization is very well established. They are very company that has the resources and abilities to take care of our courtyard the way we want it to. They are doing it now in other jurisdictions, and our team has gone out and done their due diligence and researched them and walked the walk and talked the walk and felt the walls and talked to the people and touched them. And I trust our team. I trust you, Kathy Thomas Gibson, and I trust our team that you guys have done your due diligence and have come to the conclusion that this is the best resources that we need in order to get our courtyard to where we want it to be. We're going to all hope and pray that this time around it is going to be successful. We'll have a great working relationship, and that it will ultimately service the community that we need it to service, which is our underserved and our homeless population, which is everyone's goal that I know to be the case. And also, people realize that the city of Las Vegas is funding this project. In the transition of our old operator to now, the city has been pulled city team members away from positions and are currently working at the courtyard operating it. And with this contract and the outside operators, it's going to save us a little bit over $2 million a year by having this partner in place. And so I think from a fiscal standpoint, it works. From experience standpoint, it works. And working with you and your team, it seems it's going to work. So let's just pray that it all goes according to plan. If there's no other comments, I'd like to make a motion for approval for item number 9.
Thank you very much. There's a motion. Please vote and please post. Motion carries. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We will now move on to agenda item 37. Okay, boards and commissions. Discussion for possible action regarding the appointment and nominee Desiree Stillwell to the Citizen Advisory Committee to the Las Vegas Redevelopment Agency. Ms. Stillwell qualifies for the vacant Category G-Ward 1 seat, which is reserved for someone who lives or works in Ward 1. Councilman Knutson is recommending the nomination of Ms. Stillwell, so I would ask you, Councilman, to make any comments and move forward, please.
Thank you, Mayor. I believe Ms. Stillwell will be an excellent addition, and with that, I would move to approve.
Okay, there's a motion on Ms. Stillwell. Please vote and please post. Motion carries. Thank you very much. Agenda item 38, recommending committee bills eligible for adoption at a later meeting. Items number 38 through 41, bills number 2020-4, 202 through 2020-7 will be heard at a later meeting. There are no new bills, and 42 was stricken. Okay. So we can move on to 43? Oh, these are noticed for 10. All right, we will have a 10-minute recess, and we'll begin sharply at 10 with agenda item 43.
That is amazing.
Yes. Okay, we're back. And we are on to agenda item 43. Okay. For possible action, any items from the 10 a.m. session that the council staff and/or applicant wish to be stricken, tabled, withdrawn, or held in abeyance to a future meeting may be brought forward and acted upon this time. Mayor Pro Tem, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The following items have been requested to be held in abeyance, withdrawn, tabled, or stricken. Item 44 and 45, SUP 77365 and SDR 77366. Applicant owner 900 Fremont LLC at 916 Fremont Street, and abeyance to March 18, 2020 is requested by the applicant. And item 46 through 48, GPA 77917, Zone 77919, and VAR 78113, applicant owner Moses Carpio at 1208 Southeastern Avenue, and abeyance to April 1st, 2020 is requested by Councilwoman Diaz. And that will be my motion.
Thank you very much. There's a motion, please vote. And please post. And I've been asked by Councilwoman Seaman, please, a comment.
Yes, I would like to make my vote affirmative on the last agenda item before before we dismiss.
Thank you. We'll update the record.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, we'll move on to agenda item 49 then, correct? Yes, 49 through 53, I'm just going to go right through them. We'll take them one at a time. Agenda item 49, GPA 77926, a request for a general plan amendment from PR-OS, Park Recreation Open Space, to PCD, Planned Community Development. Number 50, MOD 77927, a request for major modification of the Lone Mountain Land Use Plan from PQ-PF, Public Quasi-Public Facilities, to ML, Medium-Low Density Residential. Number 51, VAR 77931, a request for variance to allow a stub street terminus where a cul-de-sac or hammerhead is required. Number 52, SDR 77928, a request for a site development plan review for proposed 37-lot single-family residential development. And number 53, TMP 77930, Wallaby and Isaac, on a request for a tentative map for a 37-lot residential subdivision. The applicant is AMH NV5 Development LLC, and the owner is AMH, goodness, Goodman, Development West GC LLC on 5.64 acres located northeast corner, Wallaby Way, Isaac Newton Way, PD, Planned Development Zone. The Planning Commission recommends approval on all items. Staff recommends approval on items 49 and 50, and denial on 51 through 54. These are in Ward 4 with Councilman Anthony and our public hearings, which I declare open. Is the applicant or representative present?
Good morning, Robert Cunningham with Tanny Engineering, 6030 South Jones Boulevard, representing the applicant. We're proposing a 37-lot residential subdivision surrounded by apartments on the north and the east, single-family residential on the west and the south. Staff's recommending approval of all items, and Planning Commission recommended approval of all items, except for staff is not recommending approval of the stub street item. We are proposing private streets in our community. The stub street is needed because this is where we will be coming in with our plan of connection for sewer as well as for drainage. The entire property drains to an opening on the adjacent apartment complex. We believe in preliminary discussions with staff and Public Works, since the streets are private, that this is something that is not acceptable to staff, but they could live with because the streets will be maintained by the Homeowners Association. With that, I will conclude my presentation and answer any questions you shall have. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Summerfield.
Madam Mayor, members of the council, good morning. Staff is in support, as indicated, for the proposed general plan amendment and major modification to the Lone Mountain Master Plan, as the subject location's original intent was for a water district facility or a fire station, and that has not been realized. The requested special land use designation does allow for a compatible residential density to what is around it. And so we are supportive of those. However, staff is not in support, as indicated, of the self-imposed request to deviate from those established standards for the streets, and therefore has to recommend denial for the variance in these subsequent applications. Thank you.
Thank you very much. This is a public hearing. Anyone wishing to be heard on any of these items, 49 through 53? Close the public hearing. Any comments by council here? Questions? Turn it over to Councilman Anthony.
Thank you, Mayor. It's good to see these infill pieces getting finally built up, so thank you for doing that. And with that, I will start with agenda item number 49, and I will follow Planning Commission and staff's recommendation for approval.
Thank you. This motion to approve agenda item 49. Please vote and please post. That motion carries. And on 50, please.
Item number 50, I'll move to approve, follow Planning Commission and staff's recommendation for approval.
Thank you. This motion to approve agenda item 50. Please vote and please post. Motion carries. Agenda item 51.
I will recommend, follow Planning Commission's recommendation for approval.
Thank you very much. There's a motion to approve agenda item 51. Please vote and please post. Motion carries. And go on to agenda item 52.
I will move to follow Planning Commission's recommendation for approval.
Motion to approve on 52. Please vote and please post. Motion carries. And finally, on agenda item 53.
I will move to follow Planning Commission's recommendation for approval.
Thank you very much. There's a motion to approve on agenda item 53. Please vote and please post. And that motion carries as well. Good luck.
Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you. We'll go on to agenda items 54, 55, 56. GPA 78019, a request for a general plan amendment from PF Public Facilities to PCD Planned Community Development. Number 55, ZON 78020, a request for rezoning from U undeveloped zone PF Public Facilities General Plan Designation to PD Plan Development. And number 56, MOD 78021, request for a major modification of the Lone Mountain West Land Use Plan from OS-R Open Space and Recreation to ML Medium Low Density Residential. The applicant is D.R. Horton, the owner is the United States of America, on 11.18 acres north side of Hickam Avenue, approximately 288 feet west of Cliff Shadows Parkway on all items. The Planning Commission and staff recommend approval. These are in Ward 4 with Councilman Anthony. Our public hearings, which I declare open. Is the applicant or representative present?
Yes, good morning. Liz Olson, 1980 Festival Plaza Drive, here on behalf of the applicant, D.R. Horton. This 11-acre piece was just purchased by D.R. Horton through the last BLM auction, so they're moving forward with the zone change in GPA to match the surrounding area of PD. We've been working with the neighbors on the tentative map, which will come to Planning and Planning Commission next week. But we appreciate staff's recommendation on the zone change in GPA and happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Mr. Summerfield, please.
Madam Mayor, the applications before you were submitted as part of a set of applications that do include some variances, site plan and a tentative map as were indicated for a 79-lot single-family residential subdivision. Those applications were held in abeyance at the Planning Commission and will be heard at next week's Planning Commission. Regarding the items before you today, staff is in support of the formal inclusion of this property into the Lone Mountain West Master Plan. by way of the general plan amendment and rezoning application that you have, and then are in support of the proposed medium-low residential density designation under that Lone Mountain West master plan, as that is consistent with the other residential property in this area. With that, staff is recommending approval of these items. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you. This is a public hearing. Anyone wishing to be heard on 54, 55, 56? Seeing and hearing none. Any questions from council? It's yours, Councilman. You're off again.
Thank you, Mayor. I will move on item number 54 to follow Planning Commission and staff's recommendation for approval.
Thank you. There's a motion on 54. Please vote and please post. Motion carries. And on 55?
Move to follow Planning Commission and staff's recommendation for approval.
Thank you. There is a motion to approve 55. Please vote and please post. That motion carries. And finally, on agenda item 56.
Move to follow Planning Commission and staff's recommendation for approval.
Thank you. There's similarly a motion on 56. Please vote and please post. And that motion carries. That was simple. Okay, we'll move on to 57 and 58. 57 GPA 77933, a request for a general plan amendment from RNP, Rural Neighborhood Preservation, to SC Service Commercial. Number 58, ZON 77934, a request for rezoning from R-E Residence Estate C1 Limited Commercial. The applicant owner is International LLC on 5.16 acres east side of Schaumburg Road, approximately 650 feet south of Tropical Parkway. On both sides, Planning Commission, on both items, the Planning Commission staff recommend approval. These are in Ward 6 with Councilwoman Fiore and public hearings, which I declare open. Is the applicant or representative present?
Yes, it is. Yes, I am. Sorry. Good morning. Levi Parker, 3425 Cliff Shadows Parkway, Las Vegas, Nevada, 89129.
And do you wish to make comment? Please tell us.
I'm here to present the subject GPA and rezoning request. And so I wanted to just start with a couple aerial views to give a better perspective of the site. It's 5 acres, sandwiched in the northwest between the 215 Beltway, North Schaumburg Road, which is a collector 80-foot road. Here's another kind of further view out. To the naked eye, it looks like there's a lot of rural open space, but as you'll see in some of these pictures, here's a location of the 5 acres in reference to the future Sheep Mountain Parkway, Beltway, located right there, the 5-acre subject parcel. This was from a neighborhood meeting of the second phase of Sky Canyon that I've been to, some of the neighborhood meetings that they have for their upcoming project. Again, here's the 5 acres in connection with Schaumburg Road, Ann Road, 215, and future Sheep Mountain Parkway. As well as here's a closer view to see where some of the, I know that's maybe not finalized yet, but it's in that direction of where the Sheep Mountain Parkway alignment may come off the 215 freeway near this intersection. And so, and then lastly, this is just a closer look of some of the home builders that are in the area currently. I just wanted to point out, obviously, like you mentioned, we had staff approval, recommendation for approval. We had planning's recommendation for approval. And then this is just an idea of what's planned for the area. So we have roughly over 2,500 new houses coming to this area. The large 1,600, roughly 1,600 houses that are being proposed. To the north, we have D.R. Horton in the area, as I mentioned, Harmony Homes, KB Homes, and so this area's moving pretty fast. We're looking to provide services to all these new houses, and so with that, we recommend your approval and your support for the commercial zoning.
Thank you very much. Wow, you are exploding up there.
We are.
This is a public hearing. Anyone wishing to be heard on 5758? I'll close public hearing. And any questions from council?
Madam Mayor, I just need to give my quick little staff report
Did
if I
I
could.
overshoot you? Because I read both planning and staff recommend approval, but absolutely, pardon me, Mr. Summerfield.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So just for the record, the staff recommendation for approval is based on the commercial site that's being proposed will provide a transitional buffer between the highway and the expected higher density residential uses to the south and west, and will provide for some neighborhood commercial services to the surrounding area. As a result, staff is recommending approval of both this general plan amendment and zoning. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Summerfield. Back to you, ma'am, our Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you so much. So what exactly do you envision here?
We envision, again, we haven't really done a detailed feasibility to find out what's best suited, but we envision maybe storage, maybe a convenience store, maybe restaurant, bar, drive-through, coffee shop.
Have you met with my office?
We have.
We have, okay, great, okay. Yeah, no supermarket, no, I think we've got one there. Okay, I'm going to recommend approval. I'm going to go with staff.
So we'll start with 57, please.
Yeah, we're going to recommend approval for item number 57.
Thank you. There's a motion to approve 57. Please vote and please post. The motion carries. And on 58, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I recommend approval for item number 58.
Thank
But
you.
as we get closer, I really want to work with what goes there with you and the aesthetics of Ward 6 and big trees. We have a whole set of new rules.
Absolutely.
Thanks.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
And there's a motion on agenda item 58. Please vote and please post. And that motion carries as well. Good luck. We'll now move on to agenda items number 59 to 63. 59 MOD 77358, request for major modification of the Grand Canyon Village Master Development Plan to remove 7.49 acres from the land use plan. Number 60 GPA 77359, on a request for a general plan amendment from PCD, Planned Community Development, to H, high-density residential. Number 61 ZON 77360, and a request for a rezoning from PD Plan Development to R-4, high-density residential. Number 62 VAR 77361, a request for a variance to allow a 0-foot front yard setback where 10 feet is required, 0-foot side yard and corner side yard setbacks where 5 feet is required, and a 0-foot rear yard setback where 20 feet is required. Number 63, SDR 77362, a request for a site development plan review for a proposed 3-story, 282-unit multi-family residential development with waivers of the perimeter landscape buffered standards on 18.06 acres on the east side of Grand Canyon Drive, approximately 400 feet north of West Sky Canyon Park Drive, parcels 1 and 2 of file 125, page 32 of the parcel maps, PD Plan Development Zone, proposed PD Plan Development R4 high-density residential. The applicant is Warmington Apartment Communities, and the owner is Grand Canyon Village, LLC, on 7.49 acres southeast corner of Drake Drive and Grand Canyon Drive, Lot 1 of file 125, page 32 of parcel maps. On all items, staff recommends denial. Planning Commission and Commission recommend approval. These are in Ward 6 with Mayor Pro Tem Fioria, and public hearings, which I declare open. Is the applicant or representative present?
Good morning, Your Honor, members of the council. My name is Bob Gronauer, 1980 Festival Plaza Drive. To my right is Mr. Hank Gordon, who is the property owner on this application here, who is doing the joint venture with Warmington Homes. Before I get into the quick presentation here, I am substituting for Jennifer Lazovich. She's stuck over in Clark County. At 9 o'clock this morning, she told me that she's worked on this project for 1.5 years, and I have now worked on this project for 1.5 hours. So in that 1.5 hour time frame, I've been up to speed with respect to the history and everything that's been going on. But in more seriousness, actually, I've been working with Mr. Gordon, our office. I've worked with him on this commercial center in Grand Canyon Village master plan several years ago with some street alignments and the planning of the area itself. The property itself that we have here it was originally planned for a commercial shopping center. As a matter of fact, the Smith Shopping Center that exists over in Sky Canyon Master Plan Community is just across the street. Several years ago, Smith Center was planning to go on this piece of property here for a major shopping center. They moved over to Sky Canyon. Because of that, that eliminated the amount of commercial uses up in this area. So Mr. Gordon, as you know, specializes in commercial development. They have some of the best commercial shopping centers on every corner here in the city of Las Vegas, and they do a tremendous job. They could not attract any other end users or big retail end users in this area here. And if there's anybody who could do it, it would be Hank and his son Richard, that they can find those people that can come here. Because of that, because of the lack of the ability to be successful bringing somebody in, they've joint ventured with Warmington Homes for a multifamily development. I know from talking to Jennifer, she said over the last year and a half, your staff has been tremendous to work with. This is a very convoluted type of application. The reason why you have all these variances and waivers before you is because there are some mapping issues in the plan development that we had to overcome in order to get to the project that we have. So those are the technical matters that you'll see in there about the waivers and the variances. But when you take a look at the project itself, as you can see on the overhead, it is an R4 Class A type of multifamily development. As a matter of fact, it does have a little bit of a touch of flair from the Mayor Pro Tem from one of the requests that she had in this area. Not only do you could see the modern look of the multifamily that will be coming into this area, but more importantly, what she requested and what Mr. Gordon in Warmington Homes has done, as you can see on the 3-story product here, the 3rd-story product here is a loft product, which you don't typically see in your multifamily type of developments. That came from the brainstorming and design of Mayor Pro Tem Fiore. Our client put that recommendation into use, and you're going to see this unique multifamily development up in this area. As Mr. Gordon is here in Warmington, they're very excited about the project that you'll see. One of the clarifications I need to make in the, I believe, site development plan review is, as you know, the council, Mayor Pro Tem is very high on intense landscaping. We have agreed to do 36-inch box trees around the perimeter of the property, but there's also a condition in there, I believe, in the site development plan review that gives us the ability to potentially do palm trees. I was told to eliminate that or make sure we delete that out because she does not want palm trees on the property. We're fine with that. I want to just make that noted for the record itself, that we will be doing the 36-inch box trees from there. So with that being said, we'd ask you to follow Planning Commission's recommendation. Mr. Gordon's only here to look good and help me if I get in any trouble, so he does not need to speak unless you have questions specifically for him, and I allow him to talk. Otherwise, he's supposed to stand here and
he
look
brought
pretty.
his backup as well.
And his backup is over here to my left.
Well, wait just one moment. Mayor Goodman. There's one more backup. Richard's son, Drake, just came to work for us. And he graduated.
That is great.
Oh, my heavens. I know all 3, well, I don't know.
So we'll have the trifecta of Gordons next time I come up here.
And I'd like to add one more thing, in that when he graduated from Michigan last May, I went to his graduation, and I said, how tough was the business school here? He says, not as tough as, excuse me, the Meadows.
Oh.
Nice.
Different day, let me tell you. Good, wonderful, well prepared. Okay, darest I not remember? Please, Mr. Summerfield, enlighten us.
Madam Mayor, so as mentioned by the representative, in order to pursue this option, they do need to remove a portion of this land from the Grand Canyon Village. In order to achieve that, we've worked very closely with the applicant to record 3 parcel maps that created just under 7.5 acre parcel for parcel 1 that is to be redesignated to this higher density land use and rezoned. A separate parcel 3, which will be still for potential future commercial use. There is a just over 10.5 acre parcel, which is parcel 2 that was created, and that's the squiggle that you saw on the maps, that would remain within the Grand Canyon Village Master Plan and continue to be zoned PD. It will contain, though, the amenities for this proposed multifamily residential development, as well as the additional surface parking that's needed for the project. Parcel 2 is necessary to maintain the 8 dwelling units per acre density that is required for this mostly built-out Grand Canyon Master Plan and the PCD designation for that development. The densities that are proposed for this development at 37.65 dwelling units per acre is in excess of the planned land uses in this area. Because this approval will create 2 sets of development standards that will apply within the same development, staff is not able to support the major modification, general plan amendment, rezoning, and variance, and the subsequent site development review. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm glad I asked you. This is a public hearing. Anyone wishing to be heard on any of these items, 59, 60, 61, 62, 63? Going to close public hearing. And any questions from council? And looking good. Mayor Pro Tem, go.
Madam Mayor,
trees.
if I may, to the Mayor Pro Tem, just if she does want to strike, there's like 3 options in this condition. If she does want to strike palm trees so that there's no confusion down the road, then I would offer that we need to make an amendment on condition 10 of the site development review 77362, just to strike the words palm tree from that condition. And that would be the adjustment that we would make.
Okay, so I'm going to have you repeat that or accept that, because definitely no palm trees. So in my opinion, palm trees are like a telephone pole with a little bush on the top. Anyway, so let's move on and let's vote for an approval on item number 59.
Thank you. There's a motion to approve agenda item 59. Please vote and please post. Motion carries. 60, please.
And let's approve item agenda 60.
Thank you. A motion to approve agenda item 60. Please vote and please post.
Mr. Summerlin, you'll input that on the agenda item that we need to?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's the very last one, and
Okay.
I'll bring that up.
Perfect.
Thank you.
And
That
then,
motion carries. Let's go to 61, please.
approval on 61, please.
There's a motion to vote affirmatively on 61. Please vote and please post. Motion carries. And we'll move on to 62.
And my motion is to approve item 62.
There's a motion to approve agenda item 62. Please vote and please post. And that motion carries. And finally, number 63 with the palm trees.
And so, Madam Mayor, through you, Mayor Pro Tem, so that would be approval with an amended condition 10, sub-bullet 3, to read as follows: additional 36-inch box deciduous or evergreen trees shall be provided to meet Title 1906 requirements within the perimeter buffers along the overall north, east, and west property lines.
Thank you so much, Mr. Summerlin. So I motion to approve agenda item 63 with all of the words out of Mr. Summerlin's mouth.
Summerfield.
Summerfield, sorry, I'm thinking out there in the west. But I just want to note to my colleagues that we literally worked so diligently on this for 15 months straight. I don't like the look of apartments, and I know, Mr. Knutson, you think you have a pretty ward, but you don't. So our ward has to be aesthetically beautiful, and the Gordons, hands down, do that. So I'm very excited about this project, Mr. Gordon.
Thank you.
Thank you. With that motion carried, congratulations once again. Thank you for all the things you've done over the many years here in the city. Your projects are always great and so good. And aren't you lucky? Tell Jennifer and Ms. Samich that it was a piece of cake today because you had the family.
I'm going to be able to keep my job now, so this is good.
But you have the rest of the day off, which is better.
Oh, I'm going
She's
till about
still there.
11 tonight. I got to still go to hearings all day, so it's a long night.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Okay,
Take care.
you too. So now on to 64, and that is report and presentation report from our city manager, Scotty Adams, on emerging issues. Good morning.
Good morning, Madam Mayor, members of City Council, Scott Adams, City Manager. I just have two quick updates. The first is another reminder that next Wednesday, March 11th at 9 a.m. is a joint meeting of the City Council and the Clark County Board of Commissioners at the Clark County Governmental Complex in their commission chambers. I had
Could I interrupt you on that?
Sure.
Because I think when our city manager spoke with their city manager, and he and I chatted, I said that we would offer our chambers, but that, in fact, if they wanted held there, we would defer to them. And also, as far as chairing the meeting, with your permission, I would defer to Chairman Kirkpatrick for chairing the meeting, and to let them know both of those things. So while we seat 500 and they don't, and this is very comfortable for us, that's how that happens. So thank you, Mr. Adams.
And we sent you the details yesterday afternoon on the meeting, including a tentative agenda. The primary topic of the agenda is the Las Vegas Medical District. That will consist of a number of presentations. We'll be making our own presentation on the progress we've made in working in the medical district. There should be a presentation on UMC and then one on the progress of the UNLV Medical School. And then there would be an open discussion on areas of collaboration relative to the medical district.
Which will be inclusive of the shared garage?
Yes, that project will be part of our presentation, right. So that meeting is, again, next Wednesday, the 11th at 9 a.m. And the only other thing I would like to report is that I have pulled together a team cutting across our senior management and directors to evaluate our current emergency management plans, to revise them to be responsive to the situation dealing with COVID-19 or the coronavirus. Because emergency management is under public safety, I've asked Tim Hacker to lead that team. We'll be meeting on a weekly basis, and our whole goal is just simply to plan ahead and make sure the city's in a position to be responsive should we need to be. So nothing to be alarmed about yet. Certainly we've not experienced anything yet, but as you know, emergency management is a big deal with me, and I just want us to be ready should we need to be ready. So I just wanted to make that report. And that is the end of my report.
Thank you. Any questions, council? Yes, please. Councilman
Thank you,
Knudsen.
Mr. Adams. And Mayor, I just wanted to say and publicly thank you and the rest of the City Council for agreeing to support a joint city-county meeting. Coming into today's meeting, obviously I'm emotional about what can happen in the medical district, and the future of the medical district requires an intense collaboration between the city, county, university, and probably multiple other jurisdictions as well, including the state. And so I'm grateful for you and the rest of the City Council and for the management team to allow for that initial conversation to happen publicly so that we can fully vet out what the future possibility of the medical district is. So thank you.
And I think the leadership there that you have taken on is so significant, because we do know after safety, it's our #1 concern, and we've got to work together. So thank you for taking that on. We appreciate it. Okay, this is a report only. So now we go on to agenda item 65. A report by Craig Rayborn, Director of Metropolitan Planning Organization at the Regional Transportation Commission of Southern Nevada, RTC, on the Board Regional Mobility Plan in reference to all wards. And Mr. Summerfield, good morning again.
Good morning, Madam Mayor, members of council. For the record, Robert Summerfield, Director of Planning. It's my pleasure this morning to sub in for Mr. Jansen, your Director of Public Works, to introduce Craig Rayborn from the RTC. The Planning Department and the Public Works Department on behalf of the city have been working with the RTC and the other regional jurisdictions to address this mobility plan for a little over 2.5 years. It's in its home stretch. And so with that, I'd like to introduce Craig, and he's going to tell you all about this project and what we as a community have to look forward to. So with that, Craig.
Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor, and members of the council. Again, just for the record, I'm Craig Rayborn. I'm the director of the Metropolitan Planning Organization Department at the Regional Transportation Commission for Southern Nevada. So this will be the third time, I believe, that I've spoken with the council about the onboard plan. And so a lot of the materials that lead up to what I'm going to cover today, I've already presented. So just two quick points before I get into the body of the presentation. And first one is a reminder of why we do onboard. We need to look forward for the region's mobility for the next 20 years. And that's exactly what onboard is intended to help us start addressing. And then second is onboard is the result of, as Director Summerfield said, a long engagement with the public works and the planning departments from all the local agencies, but also a massive amount of public outreach and engagement. We've had some kind of contact with more than 80,000 individuals during the course of developing these recommendations. We've conducted three different surveys, receiving a total of more than 22,000 distinctive responses, individual responses across those. So this really does reflect a significant amount of community engagement as well as professional engagement with the staffs of all the local agencies. So just a quick reminder for what onboard is intending to address. So we're looking at improvements to traditional transit, to bus service, but we're also looking at ways that we could potentially develop a high-capacity transit system for the region. Because it's a broad mobility plan, we're looking at improvements for pedestrians and bicyclists, and because the transportation landscape is changing pretty rapidly and fairly dramatically, we're trying to future-proof the plan by making sure that we're incorporating at least acknowledgments and a system to implement emerging technologies as they become viable. So onboard consists of a set of 8 major recommendations. Each of those recommendations then has a series of specific projects or programs that would implement those strategies. The first of those strategies is to build a high-capacity transit system. And what we're really saying when we use the term high-capacity transit is we're saying the highest mode that will that all the evidence indicates will work on a corridor when we develop that corridor. And so for now, those 2 modes are really bus rapid transit and light rail, but even those are undergoing some changes and improvements with emerging technologies. And so this is what we think about now, but some of these would happen in 5, 10, 15, or even 20 years, and at that time, we could be looking at dramatically different types of technologies to provide that high capacity, high quality service. So what Onboard developed is a set of 19 different corridors that total about 200 miles of high capacity transit. All of the routes, and I believe I've presented this map to the council before, but all of these routes would support some form of high-capacity transit. And so at the time that we start developing individual routes, that's when we would be able to really narrow down on the specific mode or technology that we'd be using for any one of the individual ones. And we'd also be working very closely, of course, with the jurisdictions. One thing I do want to note, and this has been something that's been very important, particularly to the City of Las Vegas staff, as we start talking about the route alignments in the downtown area, these routes are intended to show essentially where the travel demand is and what's the most effective alignments to serve that travel demand. So, they could actually, as we move into the development of individual corridors, the alignments could vary and change a little bit in order to accommodate the specific land uses that are happening at that point in time. And so really these are intended to focus on the broad movement of people and not the specific alignments, and particularly in the downtown area, as some of the specific routes and alignments would need to change, or at least be a bit more specific than this sort of more thematic map shows. The second strategy is expanding transit service to improve access to housing and jobs. So what this map shows in the blue area are the places where the RTC currently operates high-frequency service. In those areas, the goal would be to expand service hours and increase the frequency of that service. And then in the dark gray area where the RTC currently operates some form of bus service, the goal would be to get it to what we call high frequencies, so 15-minute headways, gaps between buses or less, and then also extend the hours, as well as a series of improvements to bus stops and infrastructure and facilities in order to really facilitate the success of that kind of system. And then in the lighter gray area, what we're talking about, that's the rest of the urban part of the valley. And there are areas there where the RTC doesn't have the resources to operate transit right now. The long-term plan recommends that we develop some type of service in those areas. And so that could be extensions of regular bus service, but it could also be more new or innovative types of services like partnerships with rideshare programs, shuttle systems, microcirculators systems, things like that, all of which we will examine as we start to try to develop and implement the plan. The third strategy is to make all travel options safer and more secure. The strategy kind of speaks for itself, but there are some specific improvements, projects that would improve safety around bus stops and in the pedestrian access to and from bus stops, as well as just general community-wide pedestrian access and improvements. This strategy also has a project that would implement actually, it's the next one, but they're related, they're closely related, so I'm actually going to go ahead and skip to the next one too, which is making short trips easier. This one includes a strategy to implement a highest quality of complete streets on 200 miles of roads across the region. This would be complete streets with full infrastructure and facilities, bicycle, pedestrian, including street trees, wide sidewalks, but still allow a very efficient, effective throughput of vehicles on those corridors too. Other improvements would be trying to improve connectivity so that it's generally just more feasible for someone to choose to have the viable option, really, of being able to walk to the store or walk their kids to school, those kinds of trips. And we just want to be able to improve that as a viable option for folks. The fifth strategy, we start getting into some specific populations and some of their needs. And so this one is to expand dedicated service for seniors, veterans, and persons with disabilities. So basically what the recommendation here would be is to double the specialized services that the RTC currently offers for seniors and veterans. And then again, assuming resources become available, to extend the paratransit service that the RTC currently operates to cover the entire urbanized part of the region. Sixth strategy is improving connections to major destinations such as the airport, the resort corridor, and then special event venues as well. And so this includes some on-site improvements that either the airport would do or we would partner with the airport to do to improve circulation at the airport as well as access to and from the airport. It includes expanding the special event services that the RTC currently partners with the Golden Knights to expand those to the other new professional sporting teams that are starting to come in and the events surrounding those. Park and ride lots with express shuttles, again, to the major destinations. Seventh strategy is to provide reliable transit for Strip and downtown Las Vegas employees. This segment of the population represents 20 to 30% of jobs in the region, and we want to make sure that they have, again, same idea, it's to present a viable alternative to driving. And so developing more reliable transit from where concentrations of resort corridor workers live to their jobs is an important way to be able to accomplish that. So some of the specifics there, in addition to the previous strategy that improves generally region-wide access to those major job centers. This would include some specifics like shuttles that operate so that they can access back-of-house entrances more easily and some improvements like that, some pedestrian improvements to facilitate some of those accesses as well. The eighth and final strategy is then leveraging technology to improve mobility and sustainability. And so this includes the RTC's long-term plans that we want to be able to follow for mobility. Some of those are quick improvements that we're already working on, ways to speed up or ease the fare payment for using transit. Some long-term improvements, a long-term conversion to either electric or hydrogen fuel cell vehicles that would improve sustainability, air quality for the region. The sustainability improvements also include the potential for a development of a public solar electric vehicle charging network. There's a lot of evidence that shows just the presence of that infrastructure can increase the uptake, increase the use of electric vehicles, and so for a relatively small investment over time, potentially that's one of those things that can kind of encourage an environmental improvement or sustainability improvement in the long run. So those are the basic recommendations coming out of Onboard. Where we're at right now, these are the next steps. Where we are right now, we are in the last month of a 90-day public engagement period. We've been going out, we've been doing presentations to all the local governments, other organizations, stakeholder groups. We also have a survey that's out right now that I'll talk about in just a moment. But our goal now is to get this plan out and try to get as much feedback as possible from folks. So we are hearing feedback that we are incorporating into the plan, and that will lead us at the end of this 90-day period to finalize the plan, which we're working on right now. So we'll finalize the plan.
Do you happen to
Yes.
have an open hotline or something where anybody in the community with ideas can funnel suggestions?
Yes, Your Honor. We don't have a phone number for that, but we do have the survey site for the webpage, the survey site, which allows people to enter comments.
Which is on your website?
It's on the RTC's website. It's its own standalone website as well. And I don't believe it's possible right now to do a Google search and read the second article or to read that article without seeing one of these things pop up, at least in my experience. Google's pretty smart. They know what I'm interested in, but it's been hard to avoid so far. So we'll be developing the final plan. We'll take that to the RTC board in April. And then once that plan is done and out there, we will continue to conduct pretty extensive outreach to the community. We want to make sure that people understand all of the things that are in the plan and help us further refine each of the specific elements of the plan. So the plan is a broad aspirational plan. It's the big list of all the things that we want to be able to do for the region and that the region needs in order to respond to the growth that we're going to be facing over the next 20 years. And that outreach continues this planning process. We don't want this to be a plan that is done and sits on a shelf. It becomes a plan that we go out and we talk about with people and we try to use it as a way to expand and improve mobility for the region. And also during that time frame, we do need to start figuring out the long-term funding solution so that we can start implementing the plan. Many of these recommendations would require some type of new funding source in order to be able to implement them. Some of them could be done with existing sources if they're a strong enough priority, but we need to figure out, working with the local agencies and then find out what the public's opinions are, the best way to end up going about that. So then the last point I want to make is this survey. So this website, this onboardsnv.com, Your Honor, is exactly where people can go to provide feedback on the plan, specific comments, and contact the RTC if they have something that sort of falls outside of the realm of that as well. We are, like I said, we are using what we hear back. Like I said, we've made some changes, modifications, tweaks here and there in order to improve the plan based on feedback we've been hearing. And so this is a very important survey for us. And if, just knowing that your voice is going to be heard and potentially impact the long-range mobility plan for the region, everyone who takes this survey, completes the survey, and provides their email address is entered into a biweekly drawing for Golden Knights tickets, and so there's a chance for anyone who takes the survey to win tickets to the Golden Knights. That's the conclusion of the presentation. I'm happy to answer any questions or go into more detail on any of the plan elements.
Thank you. We appreciate your taking the time to report and knowing that Councilman Anthony's on the commission and committee. You know, I do see things. How closely is Congresswoman Titus involved in this, since she seems to be the top representative on the government side, the federal government side, to find us money? And is she involved with all of this closely or after the fact?
Well, so Your Honor, yes. I mean, not part of the stakeholder group, for example. We invited everyone, but most of the elected, federal elected officials chose to participate and tell us that they want to be engaged at the end. They want to help us figure out how to pay for the implementation.
Right.
And that's really where they are. Obviously, RTC has very strong relationships with all of our federal delegates, including Congresswoman Titus.
Okay, thank you. Any questions, comments from council? Yes, please, Councilman Knudsen.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you for the presentation. I'm pretty familiar with Onboard. One of the recommendations or requests that I've made throughout the process is, while the RTC is talking about the Maryland Parkway corridor, which I realize is different, but it's very connected if you look on a map, the extension into the medical district is not Maryland Parkway. And so talking about the Charleston corridor, which I believe in a previous presentation you mentioned that the Charleston corridor is the #1 priority for the RTC. And so I just like to say it over and over again, the Charleston corridor will be the #1 priority, and that connection to the Maryland corridor shouldn't be understated. So thank you.
Well, and two, because of the University of Nevada Medical School, which is part of your efforts as well.
Correct, and hopefully in the future, the College of Southern Nevada, which is also in Ward 1, connecting students with healthcare, connecting students with housing, connecting students to homes is incredibly important for the future of Ward 1, but also the city and the valley.
Thank you. Any comments, any questions down here? Well, we thank you very much and appreciate it, and hope you will keep on this with us so we know what's happening, but most particularly, how are you going to fund everything that's coming down the road? Thank you.
Great. Thank you. Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay, here we are at 7 minutes of 11, and it looks like that I'm going to ask the city clerk to set the public hearing dates and appeals from the City Planning Commission meetings in dangerous building or nuisance litter abasements.
Will do, thank you.
Thank you, and we are coming to our second and our final citizen participation. Public comment during this portion of the agenda must be limited to matters within the jurisdiction of the City Council. No subject may be acted upon by the City Council unless the subject is on the agenda and scheduled for action. If you wish to be heard, please come to the podium and give your name for the record. The amount of discussion on any single subject, as well as the amount of time any single speaker is allowed, may be limited. It's your opportunity to address the council, but the council is not able to respond or engage in dialogue. Are there any members of the public who wish to? Good morning. Or,
Good morning.
yes, still good
Morning,
morning.
Madam.
Good morning.
Morning, afternoon. Madam Mayor, Daniel Braiston, City of Las Vegas. You have two letters here that I handed to Commissioner Weekly yesterday. One of them has with cleaning up the bus stop at Neonopolis. It's a mess. The lights aren't there. I know that's a private building, but we shouldn't let our visitors get off the bus there. It's dirty, so I've asked him to look into it. And then I've also asked him to look into using the cafeteria of the county building for the homeless. It sits there, it's idle, they've got plenty of entrances. You could block off some doors and people come in and not affect the rest of the building.
Good.
They have a kitchen there that a faith group could run soup out of. They've got classrooms, they've got a fitness room, they've got a computer lab that just sits idle over the weekend. So I asked him to look into it. Then I also asked him to look into using the east training area of this building and the cafeteria area of the state building. Those would require an outside entrance. And then I recommend that we use Cashman Field, the north end, for our homeless until the courtyard yard is built out. So those are some of the items I passed on to him. You've got a copy of that letter. Then you also have a small flyer here. I I'm asking, there's an inventor summit. I'll be attending it, but this individual is not quite in the city. He's at DI and Jones, a great individual, name of Edward Ayers, and if there's any support that people can give to him, I encourage people to attend. He's bringing in outside speakers. If anybody has an idea, he's got a way for helping them. The big convention coming up, one of my favorite, is NAB, the National Association of Broadcasting. That's free. I mean, free. They cover everything that you need in broadcasting, from high antennas to software to microphones to miscellaneous stuff, and it's free. Did I say that? Okay.
Yes.
The other one I like is the Licensing Expo, and that is at the Mandalay Bay. That's been here many times. It too is free. It's designed for people with artwork or logos or businesses to come together on a joint agreement. But they also have a class on licensing for $200, and it's great because it goes through a licensing contract from top to bottom. And I think our municipalities should start licensing some of their intellectual property, like logos or slogans and things like that. That's another source of revenue. So I encourage people to look into that one. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Very informed. That's wonderful. Anyone else wishing to make comment? Okay, we will move on to agenda night number 68. Council member recognition. Comments made by individual city council members during this portion of the agenda will not be acted upon by the council unless the subject's on the agenda and scheduled for action. I will start with you, Councilman Anthony.
Thank you, Mayor. I don't have any announcements of events coming up, but we just opened up a brand-new park up in Ward 4 at Cliff Shadows in Gilmore. We had the opening Saturday. I thought 50, 60 people were going to show up. There was about 300.
Wow.
It was a great turnout. People are very excited about that park. So if you live up in the Cliff Shadows area specifically, or really anywhere in the city of Las Vegas, check out this new park. There's some amenities in there that have not been put in other parks, and I just want to thank our everybody at the city of Las Vegas who participated in funding this park and acquiring the land and the architecture, and Raphael Construction for putting it together. It's always a great thing we open up a new park in the city of Las Vegas. Cliff Shadows and Gilmore. It's a beautiful park.
How many acres?
It's around 7.5 acres. It's about $8 million to build it. The neat thing is it's right up against the mountain, so there's nothing going to be west of it except a big mountain.
Beautiful.
So Tregono Hills Park.
Wonderful. I heard the food was good, too.
Yes. we had Greek hot dogs.
Okay, Councilman Greer, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. First, before I get into my comments, I want to just recognize we lost one of our citizens this past week, Verla Davis Hogard, who was a friend of the community. She was my neighbor and longtime Clark County Community Services head and worker, as well as most recently we awarded her the Citizen of the Month a few months ago, and so I just wanted to recognize her and to say that our community is in mourning because she was a person that was very active and engaged in our community. She was a soror of ours in our sorority, Alpha Kappa Alpha, Lynx, and a number of other civic organizations. So just pray for her and her family and overall for our community. Our Historic West Side Planning Workshops, the second public outreach meeting with the Department of Planning regarding the 100 Plan. Implementation will take place at the Historic West Side School on March 26th from 6 to 7:30 p.m. This meeting will give the city an opportunity to give information and receive feedback from the community regarding new development standards and zoning proposed for the neighborhood. For more information, contact our planning team at 702-229-6301, or you can send an email to planningLR@LasVegasNevada.gov. Our Ward 5 community conversations at Teaneck Creek Brewery scheduled for Thursday, March 26th is canceled, as I'll be attending the Historic West Side Planning Workshop on the same evening. The next scheduled community conversation is Thursday, April the 23rd. And our neighborhood meeting, join us at Coleman Park, located at 6336 Carmen Boulevard on Saturday, March 28th at 2 p.m. for a neighborhood meeting. We will discuss ways the community can work with the city to address issues and concerns in your neighborhood. The city's park and recreation staff will have free arts and crafts, sports, and games for children. For more information, contact my office, 702-229-5443. And don't forget, you can always get in touch with us on social media, at Twitter, Cedric Creer, on Instagram, Councilman Creer, Facebook, Councilman Cedric Creer. Thank you.
Well, so don't you have a middle name? You could have room for one more way of being communicating. I love it, thanks. And Councilwoman Seaman.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. First of all, I want to congratulate
Your
our
microphone.
Golden Knights.
Your microphone.
First of all, I'd like to congratulate our Golden Knights. They have won 9 out of their last 10 games, and they're looking really good into the playoffs, and I look forward to bringing the Stanley Cup here to Las Vegas. So go Knights, go. And then I want to tell you about our regular event, monthly breakfast coming up, Saturday, March 7th, and it'll be at Rachel's Kitchen. We started this when I got elected, and it's become a regular event. Every month we have it on a Saturday, so keep up with us on social media so you know when it is, but it's Saturday, March 10th, 9 to 10 at Rachel's Kitchen. And then we have our Ward 2 Census Rally, Thursday, March 12th, 10 to 11 at the Veterans Memorial Community Center, so I will be there to kick it off. And then the popular document shredding event on March 14th from 10 to noon, again at the Veterans Memorial Community Center. And then for all of you who have businesses out there, our Ward 2 Small Business Sunday, again, we started this when I got elected, so every Sunday we feature a small business. All you have to do is reach out to my office, and if you're in Ward 2, we'll come out and film your business and put it out all over social media. So you can contact us at 702-229-2420. And then we have a few little pets that you can take home with you at our Animal Foundation. We have Baby, who's a female spayed, 2 years old, 11 pounds, just waiting for a good home. And then we have Babbles. Babbles is a female spayed, good-looking dog, 1 year and 7 months old. So please contact our Animal Foundation Adoption Department at adoptions@animalfoundation.com. Please keep up with our social media. We're on all the Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at Victoria D. Seaman. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you very much. And Councilwoman Diaz, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I continue to encourage folks who haven't been able to go check out the African American Heritage Exhibition at the City Hall chamber here on the second floor to do so. It's amazing, and it will be in display February 27th through the 21st, and all of this art, it's featuring the artwork of George Emil Wilson. I'd also like to invite everyone to come down for First Friday, this Friday, March 6th, 5 to 11 p.m. The name of this First Friday is Brain Art, and I'm proud to say that from the trash that we collected that were recyclables from our plogging event, the artwork that came to be due to this recycled trash will be unveiled at this First Friday. So I'm looking forward to seeing that and how it came together. Also wanted to invite everyone to come out for the opening ceremonies party for the Las Vegas Corporate Challenge this Saturday, March 7th. And I know MPT and Councilman Knutson and myself and Director Hacker are all on the same team. So I hope you guys have been, working out to make sure we win our heat. So I'm very, very excited to be there. It will be at the Zappos Open Lot on Stewart between 6th and 7th, 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. So come on out and cheer us on, and we'll see which team will prevail. I also want to invite everyone, we have a Las Vegas Boulevard construction project informational meeting happening Wednesday, March 11th from 4 to 6. And this is an informational meeting regarding the Las Vegas Boulevard project from Stewart Avenue to Sahara Avenue. Very important you come out, receive the information as to when the project starts and what the scope of this project is. And it will take place at our historic 5th Street School, 401 South 4th Street, Las Vegas, Nevada 89101. And there is parking available at the City Center Garage on 455 South 3rd Street. And you get 2 hours of free parking for coming by and finding out all about this project. Also, just like Councilwoman Seaman, I have 2 census kickoff rallies happening in Ward 3 on March 12th. Super important that everyone gets counted. I've been in several meetings regarding the census, and we're hearing that for every undercounted person or every person that's not counted in the census, that means we lose about $20,000 of monies that we could be using to support services for our community. So come and join me at the East Las Vegas Community Center, 250 Northeastern Avenue from 3:30 to 5:30 p.m. on Thursday, March 12th, or you could also come to the one that we're going to hold out of this Dupac Community Center. So it will be held 5:30 to 7:30 p.m. and we're going to have children's activities, food giveaways, computers available to you, and helping facilitate the process of participating in this important 2020 census. And if you haven't followed me, make sure you do. Olivia Diaz LV. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Councilman Knutson, please.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm excited for the corporate challenge, but I don't yet know what we're doing, so I think it's appropriate to make sure, Mr. Hacker, that we win. Whatever it is, I want to win.
Yeah.
I don't know what we're doing yet. I'm very excited to announce that Woofter Park will finally be reopening this month. This is a really big deal for Ward 1. Lots and lots of people go to Woofter
Is
Park.
that little doggy up for adoption?
I don't know. I can get you one if you like.
No, that one.
I don't know.
That's cute.
Neighbors will be able to access the park starting on March 16th. Again, we get asked about this park all the time. So March 16th is when you can access it. And we'll be doing a reopening celebration on Thursday, March 19th at 2 p.m., so bring your furry friends. This was actually my dog park of choice for 10 years with my 2 dogs. I would go every Saturday and Sunday morning and read the newspaper. And it was very quiet, and I missed that time in my life. I don't have that anymore, but it was a nice time in my life. It is Nevada Reading Week this week. This is a statewide initiative that began in 1987 as a way for Nevada teachers and librarians to celebrate reading through thematic activities. I'm looking forward to reading at Helen Murray Smith Elementary School tomorrow afternoon. And to talk about the census, everyone else is talking about it. Everyone needs to keep talking about it. It's not a little thing in Nevada. So to follow up on Councilwoman Diaz, $20,000 pays for education, roads, affordable housing, healthcare, public safety, job training. Everything that we talk about in our council meetings has everything to do with every single person in Nevada filling out that census, so please make sure you do that. And one of the ways to get information about the ward and things happening within the city of Las Vegas is to follow me on Twitter at BrianForLV or on Facebook at Councilman Brian Knutson. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you so much. Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So before we start with our flyers, tomorrow we have a birthday in David Riggleman's area. Sue Levitt, happy birthday. And then, as Councilman Knutson said, it's the National Read Across America Week, and Dr. Seuss, I love Dr. Seuss's because I've been reading to some of our schools, and I'm reading again on Friday to another one of our schools. But Dr. Seuss says, the more that you read, the more things you will know. The more that you learn, the more places you'll go. And that's Dr. Seuss. One of the flyers that we didn't post up is Todd Wright Field. On March 7th, we will be naming field number 4 at Mountain Ridge after Todd Wright. His memory will live on through that field, and I just want to invite everyone out there March 7th at 10 a.m. So, and our Golden Knights, of course. Our next Golden Knights game will be Friday, March 6th, 2020. Madam Mayor, you'll be happy to know, Chance checked the date.
Oh my God. And the year.
Right? So go
Wonderful.
Knights, go. And on the same day as we are naming our Todd Wright Field, we will be having a document shredding event. So we will start the document shredding event at 10 a.m. sharp. I'll be a few minutes late because of that field. I'm very excited about that field. But please bring your documents to Centennial Hills Community Center at the YMCA. And it's just it's a great help to get all of your shredding done safely and securely. And then, of course, census. We're doing census all around the city of Las Vegas. So if you would like to come off to our census kickoff rally, which will be Thursday, March 12th at 1 p.m. at our Centennial Hills Community Center, I will be there, Italian style, with food and drinks, and we will have a good time with our census kickoff. You know, as we did our America Read Across America Week, there was a book that we had made, and it was called The Best Park Ever. And that was one of the books out of two books that I read to the children. And it was talking about making the best park ever. And so out in the Northwest in our Ward 6, we have been really working on getting adaptive play sets into all of our parks. And now we are on our second one, to where we will be ribbon cutting our first adaptive swing set, to where if you have a wheelchair now, we can swing you in it. And I'm really, really excited. We put a sensory wall in our park last year, and now this year we have the swing set. So we are going across all of our parks, and this will be at the Polly Gonzalez Park. So please join me there as well. I am excited to tell you that we have located Ms. Estrella Alvarez. She was only 12, and we had found her, so thank goodness. But now we are looking for Charlotte Diaz. She's 16. She's a beautiful female, 5'4", 110 pounds, brown eyes, black hair. She's Hispanic. She was last seen in the area of Tropicana and Torrey Pines. So it's unknown what she was wearing. So please be on the lookout for Charlotte, and call Las Vegas Metro Police at 702-828-3111 or Nevada Child Seekers at 702-458-7009. We are also looking for Nautica Clark. She's a 17-year-old female. She's 4'6", 100 pounds, brown hair, brown eyes, African American. She was last seen in our Las Vegas area. And so please, if you have any information on Nautica, please call our Las Vegas Metro Police at 702-828-3111 or Nevada Child Seekers at 702-458-7009. And I always like to end with our Corridor of Hope homeless success stories. And I want to share with you the Moore family right here. When the Moore family arrived at the courtyard, they were not only struggling with homelessness, but also with the loss of Mrs. Moore's husband. Her husband had been main provider for many years. Mrs. Moore found herself a widow who had been the primary homemaker and then forced to become a single parent provider very unexpectedly. She stated she felt lost and sunk into a major depression during the 4 months she and her children endured homelessness. She was able to reside for a brief period in a community shelter that accepted her children and her children, with one being an older male. During her stay at the community shelter, she learned of the courtyard and heard that the courtyard might be able to help her and her family. The Moore family was provided the opportunity for temporary placement in the flexible housing program through the City of Las Vegas courtyard. Through case management services, Mrs. Moore received mental health services, emotional support to help her through her grieving process, and learned how to overcome some of her sources of depression. She was provided the encouragement and support to step up and take her place as the head of her household and providing the reassurance the children needed from their mother. Mrs. Moore expressed how grateful and appreciative she is for the flexible housing program that helped her get back on her feet. She and her family were able to secure their own permanent housing and continue living together as a family.
Beautiful.
Isn't that nice?
That's wonderful, yeah. I was just at, along with several of our council persons, at the opening of the 10 containers to be converted into homes down at Share Village this week, and several people came up to me, introduced themselves, and said they had been homeless, but thanks to Share and all the support from the city, they are no longer homeless. So it's wonderful that you do these each time. So we just, a couple of things. First of all, knowing Verolia Davis Hogard all these years, it was a loss, but I was so thrilled to remember that Councilman Creer went ahead and recognized Earlia back just a couple of months ago. She was a great lady and a good friend, and shopped always at Smith's on Rancho at Charleston, aside from being so helpful in this community. Also, sadly, here in our home family, we lost Steve Harson, who'd been the head of neighborhood services. And as I understand it, his family is doing something at their home on Saturday, but just what a wonderful man, and certainly we were all devoted to him. In particular, I know Dr. Lisa Morris Hibbler and, of course, our own Councilman Knutson, who had worked with him as well, and all of us. So condolences to the family, a real loss, not old enough to go. And also, as I understand it, Mayor Pro Tem's mom, Lily, Lil is recuperating from another surgery, and we wish you speedy recovery, and just let her wait on you hand and foot. She does a very good job. So speedy recovery. And as you know, come join the fun downtown as another new business opens on Fremont Street. In a nod to the festive Mardi Gras celebration held each February, Fact Tuesday will host a year-round Mardi Gras party at its frozen beverage bar inside the International Eatery at Neonopolis. It opens tomorrow, which is Thursday the 5th, at 2 p.m., so come on down, please. And while you're downtown, stop by the Neon Museum to see Tim Burton's wonderful artistry, which is here till April 12th. You can use the Loop, which is our downtown free shuttle, free, and that's quite remarkable in this time and day and age when it seems that everything is constantly increasing in prices and new fees are being added to so many of the hotels. So know that we try to take care of all of our tourist visitors and residents and offer where we can, anything we can for a discount or free. So our next city council meeting will be Wednesday, March 18th at 9 a.m. here at City Hall. And we hope you have a safe and healthy time. Wash your hands, that's the best thing. If you have a cold, make sure you drink plenty of water, rest, and vitamin C is really pretty darn good. So just wash your hands, wash your hands, wash your hands. But don't panic. Franklin Delano Roosevelt said it, we have nothing to fear but fear itself. And because we're all connected to each other all the time, there's no reason to panic. Thank you. Be safe, be healthy. And thank you all, our staff, our IT department, our marshals, everybody that works and loves our community. And thank you, colleagues. Great day. Have a great weekend when you get to it. Thank you.